resolution of forces. Resolution of forces. Resolution of forces. So that's what we start with today. Now, what do we call a force? What do we call a force? What is a force? What is a force? We consider a force as any agent that causes change in position of a body. Any agent that causes the change in position of a body. We say a force is anything or is that which changes the position of a body. That's what we call a force. Whatever that can make your body, your position to change is a what? A force. Your position can be two. You can have a position of motion or a position of what? Of rest. There are two positions a body can have. A position of rest and a position of what? Of motion. Which means a body can have two states. State of rest or state of uniform motion. So we define a force as anything. Yes, what's the question?
No, sir, there was one assignment given, but I don't know how to solve. I want to maybe solve it.
On what? On what? Talk fast. I've solved the question I gave you on the inclined. The question I gave you on the inclined plane, I've solved everything.
An assignment at an angle. Your body is at an angle alpha to the horizontal.
Okay.
Lambda is the angle of friction.
Okay.
And lambda is greater than.
Okay. Yes, I remember. Okay, don't worry. I will slow down later. Let's continue because we have to conclude this syllabus. I will solve it. Just send to me on WhatsApp. You understand? Send to me on WhatsApp. I will solve and send to you. Did you hear that? Okay. So let's continue. I will solve it. Just let's continue. I forgot, but I will solve it. Alright, so I said a force is any agent that causes the change in position of a body. And forces can be classified as, we can have forces, in this case we have resolution of forces. That shows that what? We're going to have more than one force which we want to resolve. When you say resolution, before I even continue on the various types of forces, when you say resolution, it means you are resolving. You are what? You are resolving, or you are adding many forces together. To resolve or resolution involves addition of several forces to get a single force. When you have several forces added together to obtain a single force, you have done what is called resolution. That single force you get, just like saying what? You have, this is a body. You have 10 newtons acting like this. You have 5 newtons acting like this. And you have 30 newtons acting like this. So let's say 50 newtons acting like this. And I ask you, what is the resultant of all these forces? That is, I'm asking you to get a single force representing all these forces. Just watch. When you hear the word resolution, it means you have more than one force. You have two or more forces. Two or more forces can be resolved to get a single force. That single force represents those two or more forces. I will call that single force the resultant. So I ask you, if I say you resolve these guys, okay, good. This is acting like this, positive x-axis, that's plus 50. So it's acting in the positive x-axis, that's plus 50. Okay, sorry, let this one face like this, so I can get something negative also. Okay, let me let this one face like this. Let me let 10 face here. Let me let 5 face here. 5 newtons. So just watch. So 50 is positive x-axis, so that's plus 50. 5 is plus positive x-axis, going like this, so that's plus 5 also. Now 10 is going like this, negative x-axis, that will take minus 10. So at the end of the day, we're going to have 50 plus 5 minus 10, and that will be 55, that's 45. What do we call these 45 newtons, and how will they act? Because I got plus, because what I got is what? Is plus. That means this 45 I got, the quantity is plus, it should be in the direction of plus 50 and plus 5. What direction do we call plus? We are just saying it that this is positive x-axis, this negative x-axis, this positive y-axis, negative y-axis. Okay? So because I got 45, that means it takes what? And it's plus. That means the force is acting like this. That's the direction. And that 45 is simply the only force in this case. I mean, the only force acting on this guy now is 45 newton, and it's acting like this. So this, why is it acting this way? Because it's plus. When then it is plus, because all plus, the one I call plus, are the one acting in the positive x-axis. So total of 1, 2, 3 is simply what? 45. That 45 is called a single force, representing both in action and both in what? In magnitude and direction, the action of other forces. Now, what represents 1, 2, 3 is simply 45. That means if 45 newtons acting just like this is okay, instead of 1, 2, 3. Just apply 45 newtons on this body, just like this. It will represent all what these ones are doing. So we see a single force, watch, a single force which represents both in magnitude and direction. A single force that represents both in magnitude and direction the actions of several forces. The action of several forces is called resultant force. This is a single force because if 50 newtons, 10 newtons, and 5 newtons act on this body, 50 is dragging the body this way, 10 is dragging it this way, 5 is dragging it this way. At the end of the day, those that drag this thing this way are more than the one dragging it this way. So at the end of the day, 50 plus 5, that's 55. 55 will prevail. 55 will do what? Will prevail. So that means the body will end up doing what? Like that. And that's what I got here, 45, which shows it's going like this also. So we say what? This 45 represents both in action and both in what? In magnitude and direction. The actions, that means what this one can do, the actions of all these forces. What is the action of all these forces? What's the action of all these forces? To take this body like this, to move the body like this. That's what we want to do. And this 45 can do it. So we have just done what is called resolution of what? Of forces. We have resolved 1, 2, 3 into just a single force. That single force is called the what? Resultant. So they ask you, what is resolution? Define the term resolution of forces. Tell them, resolution of forces means what? The addition of several forces. Addition of what? Several forces acting on the body to get a what? A single force. And that single force is called resultant. If they now ask you, define the term resultant. What is resultant? How do you define resultant? You say what? Resultant is a single force. Resultant is a single force representing both in magnitude and direction. You have to define resultant. Resultant is defined as a single force representing both in magnitude and direction the actions of several forces. That's what is called resultant. So, like I said before, what we are doing is resolution of forces. And to resolve forces, that means you have many forces acting on the body. When you say want to resolve, you have to have many forces acting. You can also say that what? Resolution also involves what? Making all the forces acting on the body to act in just two components, vertical components and horizontal what? Components. To resolve also can be to express all those forces into just two components, vertical and horizontal components. And at the end of the day, we see that we are still going to get a single force at the end of the day, which is called the what? Resultant. So now we have different types. What are the types of forces we want to consider here now? Types of forces we want to consider here. Types of forces that we want to consider here. Don't forget what I said that we want to consider in this topic. There are many types of forces, okay? Now the forces we are considering here will be what? One, parallel forces. Parallel forces. Parallel forces, which can be like and unlike. They can be like and they can be unlike forces, okay? So we have parallel forces. What do we call parallel forces? Parallel forces are forces whose lines of action do not intersect. Forces. We have parallel forces. What do we call parallel forces? Parallel forces are forces whose lines of action do not meet, whose line of actions do not intersect. These are called parallel forces. Parallel forces are forces whose lines of action do not intersect, do not meet. That's what we call parallel forces, okay? Now, parallel forces can be what? Just look at the word. When you hear the word line of action, what do we call line of action? What is a line of action? Line of action means direction through which a force acts. Direction through which a force acts is called line of action. If you have a force acting like this, that means the line of action is what? It's like this. If a force acts like this, that means the line of action is what? It's like this. If a force acts like this, that means the line of action is like this. If a force acts like this, it means the line of action is like this. The direction through which a force acts is called line of action. So, when you have parallel forces, this is a force, this is a line of action, this is a force, this is a line of action. One thing you can do on this earth, the line of action of these forces can never meet. They will never meet. We call them what? Parallel forces. And these are what? Like parallel forces. These are like. These are like going in the same direction. They're acting in the same direction. Now, if you have one like this is a force, and this is another force. But in this case, the lines of action are not, the lines of action here are not meeting. The line of action of this one is like this. The line of action of this one is like this. But the line of action of both forces can never meet. We call this one what? Unlike. These are unlike parallel forces, okay? Another force we have is called concurrent forces. Concurrent forces. We have concurrent forces, okay? What do you call concurrent forces? We say concurrent forces are forces whose lines of action intersect at a point. Concurrent forces are forces whose lines of action intersect at a point. And that point of intersection of those lines of forces is called the concurrence. It's called the concurrence. It's called the concurrence. It's called the concurrence. We say what? Concurrent forces are forces whose lines of action intersect at a point. And that point where they intersect is called the what? The concurrence. So like this one, you have this force is acting, this line of action, here is acting, line of action, here is acting, line of action, here is acting. These are several forces acting on the particle. Okay, these are concurrent forces. Why? Their lines of action, you can see, intersect at this point. Their lines of action intersect at that point. That point is called a point of concurrence. It's called a concurrence. And the third force we have, is called the co-planar forces. Co-planar forces. Co-planar forces. What do we call co-planar forces? Co-planar forces are forces that lie on the what? On the plane. Forces whose lines of action lie on the plane. Their lines of action lie on the same plane. They could be concurrent, they could be parallel. They don't send. Okay? Just like what? Just like what? You have a table. You put books on the table. You put books. Okay? Or if you have a table where you have books kept like this, the books will scatter on the table. or different objects on the table. All those ones have their forces, their lines of action, the forces lying on that plane. Let's just use the line of action like this. Okay, here is pointing like this. Here is another one on the plane. Here is another one on the plane. Another one on the plane. They all lie on the plane. We say what? Co-planar forces are forces whose line of action lie on the plane, or forces acting on the plane. Okay, so we have these three forces: parallel, concurrent, and co-planar forces that we'll be considering in this aspect. So let's see the first one. Right, resolution of two forces. You're writing resolution of two forces. We want to resolve just two forces for now. Resolution of two forces. Right, please. Resolution of two forces. You can put in brackets parallelogram law. Resolution of two forces in brackets parallelogram, please. Parallelogram law. Okay, now when you are resolving two forces, okay, we can just apply straight parallelogram law directly without wasting time at all. Okay, what is parallelogram law? We can state parallelogram law. You have to state it. What will you say? It states that what? Two forces acting on a particle, or two forces acting on a body, are represented by the what? By the adjacent side of a what? A parallelogram. And the resultant of these forces is what? Is the diagonal of a parallelogram drawn from the point of intersection of these two forces. I come again. If I say state parallelogram law of forces or of vector, it states that what? The resultant of two forces, F1 and F2, the result of two forces, F1 and F2, represented by the adjacent sides of a parallelogram. The result of two forces, F1, F2, represented by the parallelogram is represented by the diagonal of the parallelogram drawn from the point of intersection of the lines of action of the two forces of the forces. Okay, now if you look at the law, he's trying to tell you that what? Let's write. Consider two forces F1 and F2. Right, please. Consider two forces F1 and F2. Consider two forces F1 and F2 at an angle theta to each other. at an angle theta to each other, as shown in the figure below. As shown in the figure below. See the forces. Look at the board, everybody. This is what? F1, and this is F2. Let's look at the board. So they are at angle what? Theta to each other. And what the law told us, the law said that what? The resultant of two forces F1 and F2 represented by the sides, by the adjacent sides. You can see this and this are adjacent sides of a parallelogram. I'm going to complete the parallelogram like this. I draw this one here, this one is here again. I draw here also. So in summation, I shall draw this again. Just draw it again like this. This is, you can see, just look at it. This place, this is also is the same thing. This is also this one, the same thing. Okay? Now, the law says that what? The resultant of these two forces will be drawn, will be what? Represented by the diagonal of the parallelogram. Drawn, it will be drawn from anywhere. There are two diagonals you can draw. You can draw this diagonal, you can draw like this, but this will not be the resultant. You can join this, and that will be the resultant. Why? Because it says what? It says drawn from the point of intersection of the lines of action of the forces. The line of action of this is like this. The line of action of this is like this. So the point of intersection of the lines of action is here. So it will be drawn from this place. Just take note of that. That is where you must draw it from. You must draw from the line of what? Action. Where the line of action of the two forces intersect. And that's where they intersected. You can see that, okay? So this is the what? This is your resultant, R. This is your resultant, what? R. I've defined already. I say resultant is a single force representing in magnitude and direction the what? The action of several forces. It stands for what? What these two can do. Only this can do it. What F1 and F2 can do, only R can do the same thing. So let's now see how to obtain formula for the resultant. You have to pay attention. Look at the board. I'm adding extra lines now. If this angle is theta, this angle too will be what? Theta. You should know that. That should be corresponding what? Angles. Why? Because look at the line. See the board. See why the angles are the same. See why this angle equals this angle. Look at the reason. See the reason. Everybody, see the reason. Look at the board. Look at the board. This angle is angle between this line and the horizontal. This line and the horizontal. But this line is not the horizontal. It shall say this line and this line. That's what this angle stands for. So the same thing. This line is the same as this. This line is the same as this. So if the angle between this and this is theta, then the angle between this and this also is also what? Theta. Think about it. The angle this line makes with this place is theta. The angle this line makes with this is theta also, because this line is still this line. This line is still this line. They're the same thing. If here is F1, here is also what? F1. If here is F2, here is also what? F2. That is the what? One of the conditions for parallelogram. That's what? Opposite sides are parallel and equal. Opposite sides are parallel and equal. You know this, of course. Good. So let's go. If you want to find let's just label this thing as A, B, C, D. Let's draw this one down like this. Let's call it A, B, C, D what? E. I want to obtain, this is now a right angle. Because this and this are perpendicular. I just dropped a perpendicular line downward. So pay attention. All the ones I put in blue were not part of the diagram. They are my additions. Okay? So we want to find my R, my resultant. Watch it please. The resultant is actually R, and is what? Is AC. The resultant is actually what? R. It's R and it's what? Line AC. And it's line AC. It's line AC. It's line AC. Now, if this place is theta, who can tell me what will EA be? Anybody? (180 minus theta). So if here is theta, here will be 180 minus theta, because this is a straight line. The angle here plus the angle here must give us 180. It's angle on a straight line. So if it is 30, here will be 150. If it is 100, it's not possible. If it is 100, here will be 80. If it is 50, here will be 130. But if it is theta, here will be what? 180 minus theta, because you have, if it is 30, you get here as 150. How? That's 180 minus 30. If it is theta, it will be 180 minus theta also. So let's pay attention. This is, that is what? What's it called? The angle there in blue. Now, pay attention. My R is what? Is AC. My R is AC. So let's see what happens. If R is AC, look at the board. How do we find AC? If you are doing with me, I want to use Pythagoras theorem. Pythagoras theorem. Pythagoras theorem. Pythagoras theorem. Can somebody apply the theorem here for me and give me an expression that will contain R inside it? Can someone give me? If you apply that theorem, give me a formula that will contain AC. That's your R. Oh yeah, anybody?
R squared equals FR squared plus F2 squared.
You use the letter. You know that R is AC. R is AC. Use the letter and give me. If you want to apply Pythagoras theorem, it has to be in the right angled triangle. So can you tell me on the board?
AC squared.
AC square, yes.
Equals F2 plus DE squared.
Yes.
Sorry.
You are correct. F2 plus DE. Or we should say AE. Abi?
AE squared.
Yes. Plus what? CE squared. God bless you. God bless you. Now, pay attention. Everybody, pay attention. Pay attention. Stop talking. Now, if you want to apply Pythagoras theorem that will contain AC, see, this AC. That means what? AC squared. AC squared. That means length of this place equals AE squared. AE squared. Why is it AE squared? A to E, because your AC includes AE and ACE, anyhow, or EC. So say what? AC squared equals AE squared plus EC squared plus EC squared plus EC squared plus EC squared. Can see where I took it? I took it like I'm doing vector, okay? AC squared should equals this plus this. That will be what? AE squared plus EC squared. Now, if you notice something, what is our AE? Our AE is actually AD plus DE. I want you to pay attention, please. Look at the board. Our AE, line AE, is actually AD, line AD, that's this, plus line DE, plus line DE. Now, we all know that what? AD is what? F2. AD is F2, that's this first ear. The first ear, F2, plus, how do we get DE? Can anybody tell me what DE is? You know that what? At the end of the formula, we must not have AD or DE in our formula. What we want to have in the formula will be F1 and F2 and theta. F1, F2 and theta will finally be in our formula. Who can tell me, how do we get DE? Anybody? Who can help me out? How do we get DE? How do we get DE? Anybody? Look at the board. Look at the board, everybody. Now, your DE is here and it's inside this triangle. See where DE is? It's inside this triangle. It's inside this triangle. Your DE is inside here. See it now. This is DE. I want everything I'm doing to have F1. To have F1. So my DE is actually, this is what? This is what? Adjacent. This is what hypotenuse. So cos theta is actually adjacent, that's DE, over hypotenuse, that's what? F1. That means in this small triangle, that will be in triangle what? Let's say that what? Let's say that what? Let's come here, please. Let's write everything. I want to repeat this thing. I need to get what AE is. See what AE is. AE is AD plus DE. Is AD AC square, you can see AC square, Pythagoras theorem, is AE square plus CEC square. I have to go like this, so like this and like this. That's what? Pythagoras theorem. So we need our AC square, we know it as R. Our AE is what we want to get. Our EC also, we have to get it. We must get AE and what? And EC. So what? After we get AE, we have to first get DE and get what? CE. Let's even get them. Let's get them first. Let's get DE because it's not there, and this is not there also. Let's get them. So you can see in triangle, watch in triangle DCE. What do we have there? We have, can see, in triangle DCE. So you have what? This is what? D, this is E, and this is C. Okay, this place is your F1. We want to find DE and find what? CE. This is theta. So let's get our DE down and our CE down so that it will be easier for us. We need DE, we need CE, and they're not given. We still know AD is F2 because AE, which is here, AE is AD plus DE. So let's get our this line here. So how do we find this place? This is angle, this is opposite, this is adjacent, and this is what? Hypotenuse. That means to get this place now, you have to use this and this. That's adjacent and hypotenuse. That's what cos. So we have cos theta equals DE all over, that's adjacent over hypotenuse over F1. So that means our DE, our line DE, is simply F1 cos theta. It's F1 cos theta. That's DE that I've been looking for since. Okay, now, if we have gotten DE, can we get EC also? EC. Okay, this place, EC. How do you do that? Compare this place and this place. That is what? Opposite. This is what? Hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse. That should be sine. So you have sine theta equals EC. EC all over F1. That means our EC will be equals to F1 sine theta. Okay, I also know EC now. So let's go. Let's continue here then. So our AC squared by Pythagoras theorem is, what is AE? AE is AE. That's what? AD plus DE. That's what? AD plus DE plus DE all squared plus what's EC? We know EC. You can put that one there later. So what's your AC? AC is called R. Your AC is your resultant that I want to derive. Okay, so what is your AD? What's AD? AD, where's AD? F2, thank you. AD is F2 plus what's DE? DE is what? F1 cos theta. It's F1 cos theta. Then all squared. You can see that it should be all squared, okay? Plus what's EC? What's EC? EC is F1 sin theta. This is F1 sin theta. Don't forget what theta is. Don't forget what theta is. Theta is the angle between F1 and F2 from the question. So you now have what? Your R squared equals, let's expand this guy. You know how to expand it. That means what? F2 times F2. This one times this one plus 2 of this. That means what? F2 squared plus 2 F1 F2 cos theta plus f1 squared cos theta squared. Because you know what? You have to expand now. It will be this times itself, that will be f2 squared. This times itself, that will be f1 squared cos theta. Then this one times this one, you have f1, f2 cos theta twice. It will be this times this, that's f1, f2 cos theta. This times this, that will be f1, f2 cos, making what? 2f1, f2 cos theta. If you doubt it, just write this thing twice and expand, you get this. So plus, what's here? f1 squared sine square theta. Let me continue up here. We have seen what all these things are. Okay, let me continue up here. So what do you have? We now have r squared equals f2 squared plus 2f1 f2 cos theta plus, if you look at this very well, what's common here? f1 squared is common. f1 squared is common between this and this. What's left here? You have cos squared theta plus sine squared theta. So what do you have here? We know that what now? Cos squared theta plus sine squared theta is what? 1. So you can replace this and put 1. So you now have what? R squared equals f2 squared plus 2f1 f2 cos theta, then plus f1 squared. You can see that. So in summary, our resultant r squared will be equals to what? f1 squared plus f2 squared. It doesn't matter which one comes first. It doesn't matter. And write f1 before f2. f2 before f1 is commutative. So plus 2f1 f2 cos theta. That will be this plus this plus this. This is the resultant of these two forces, f1, f2. Don't forget what theta stands for. Theta represents the angle between f1 and f2. Theta is the angle between f1 and f2. So, having said this, can I look at some conditions? We can look at a case where f1 and f2 are perpendicular to each other. Can you look at that case? Can you look at the case where f1 is equal to f2 and is f? You can look at that case. Good. So now modify this expression. So let's look at the various cases. Let's see the various cases. Okay. Let's see the first case. I want to modify this formula. Okay, we're getting the formula, we haven't gotten the angle yet. We need to get direction of the resultant. If I will clean this one, we need to get the direction of the resultant. Okay, that of course should be done. Let me redraw. Okay, I think I have to redraw A, B. Okay, here was like this. Here was here. Here was here. Here was like this. This is the resultant. So you have to redraw this. I've not gotten one thing, okay? I've not gotten the direction of the resultant. What I just got there is the magnitude of your resultant. You also need the direction of the resultant. Okay, so I should not rub this one yet. So this is still your theta. This is your theta. Angle between f1 and f2. This is your f1. This is A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, let's come back, please. Now, look at the board. Your resultant is also a force. Every force has magnitude and direction. This is the magnitude of the resultant. So R, this R is called magnitude. Magnitude of the resultant. Magnitude of the resultant. That's what R is. So I've gotten the magnitude of the resultant. We also need the word direction of the resultant. We need it. We need the direction of the resultant. We need it. Okay? Now, having gotten the magnitude, let's get the direction. Direction of the resultant will be angle which the resultant makes with any of the forces. Angle the resultant makes with any of the forces. Okay? Look at the board. Let's look at the board. Now, what angle, this is your resultant R. What angle is this guy making with the horizon, with this F2? Don't forget, you can make angle with this F2 or make angle with this F1. It doesn't matter which one. So if you get the angle it makes with F2, you can subtract it from theta and you get the angle it makes with F1. So let's go. Let's go first get alpha. So let alpha equals angle R makes with F2. And that's called the direction of the resultant. Angle it makes with F2, or angle it makes with F1, or angle it makes with the vertical. You can make 3 angles. So let's get the angle it makes with F2 because that's what I call alpha now. If you look at the board, this is alpha. Look at the board. Look at the board. This is alpha. To get this angle here, I can say what? Use this whole triangle and this watch. This whole triangle. So just watch. See what? Triangle what? Triangle ACE. Triangle ACE. I want to find this angle. What do you notice? This will be what? Opposite. This will be opposite over adjacent. Opposite over what? Adjacent. So what's that? Opposite. Don't forget I said ACE. I'm using this whole triangle. This whole triangle is what I'm using. And that's what? Opposite over what? Adjacent. And what's the opposite? What's the opposite? What is opposite over adjacent? That will be what? Tan. So we have tan, that angle I called, this alpha. If I get that angle, I can get the other angle. Angle it makes with F2. If I get it, I can get the angle it makes with F1 because the whole angle is theta. I will say theta minus alpha will be the angle it makes with F1 here. So let's go, let's check. Tan alpha, what will it be? That will be opposite. That's what CE. Lines, okay, I say EC. I'm using EC because of the vector direction. It's EC because of the vector direction, okay? So EC, that's opposite over AE, all over AE. And what is our EC? If you can still recall, our EC is what? This was F2. Yeah, we forgot it, okay? Here was it's still the same F1. This is the same as A, and this is what? The same as A. F2, F2, F1, F1, okay? So what do we call EC? We have gotten EC before. What do we call EC? EC is what? F1 is F1 sine theta over, that's EC of course, don't forget, it's opposite over hypotenuse, that's F1 sine theta over what? Over AE. What's AE? AE is actually AD plus DE. I know you have forgotten. It's AD plus DE, that's what AE is. So tan alpha is now equal to what? F1 sine theta all over, what's AD? AD is F2, so that's F2 plus, what's DE? Our DE is this is our DE. Our DE is what? We got it as what? That's what? F1, we got F1 cos theta. So you can answer that what? The angle alpha is now equal to arctan of F1 sine theta all over F2 plus F1 cos theta. This is the direction of the resultant to what? To F2. Angle it makes with F2, okay? I know you're following that, okay? So that's how to get the angle. So that's the angle it makes with F2, or the angle made with F1. So angle, let's see now, angle or direction of R or resultant with F1 now, with this F1, that means this angle. And don't forget, this whole angle is theta. Here is alpha. If everything is what? Theta, and here just what? Alpha. What would theta now be? Theta will be what? This angle will be what? It will be what? Let's call it beta. So this will be beta, and it will be equal to theta minus alpha. You know why? Because here is theta, here is alpha. I'll get the alpha from here. This is how I'll get alpha. So if I'm getting this alpha from that place, so alpha, theta, this whole angle minus this alpha will give me beta. Theta, this whole angle minus this one will give me this. So theta minus alpha will be beta. That's it. That's that on that. Okay. So let's go to the next one. So we're done with this. Let's go to the next one. The conditions that we apply. I mean, how we're going to modify this equation. Let's write modifications of this equation. That's of this. Modification of this equation. Okay. Modification of this equation. Though you can also get your alpha using what? Sine rule. You can also get alpha using sine rule. Before you go to modification, you can get alpha using sine rule also. Alpha by sine rule. Don't forget that also. Alpha can be obtained by sine rule. And you are not forgetting that your sine rule. How do you apply sine rule? To be sine this angle, this alpha, sine alpha over the side that faces it. Which side faces it? See it. That's this over f1 equals sine of this. Sine 180 minus theta. That's sine of this over what is facing it? R over R over R. You can get alpha this way also. You can get alpha this way also. That where alpha is the what? Direction of the what? Resultant. Alpha is the direction of the what? Resultant. Alpha is the direction of the resultant. You can see. You can get the alpha using this whole triangle. But then get the alpha using what? Sine rule. Sine rule is just what? Sine this. What I'm looking for is this alpha. So sine alpha over the side that faces, that's f1, equals sine this over the side that faces here, r. Of course, you can also sine this over this, but we don't know this. We don't know it. We don't know here. So you just ignore it. We don't know this place. So you can know it. You can look at the diagram, there is parallelogram, you can know it. Good. So sine alpha over f1 equals sine this over this. That's what your how to get alpha. All the ways you can get alpha. Let's do this. Let's do modification of the equation. Right. Right, please. Modification of the equation. Okay, I think I remember. Of the equation, right? R squared equals f1 plus f2 plus 2f1 f2 cos theta. So how do we modify this equation? Okay, it's based on the nature of the question. Okay, so let's see the various ways we can modify it. Let's see the various ways we can modify it. Okay, look at this very well, please. Everybody, look at the board. Everybody, look at the board. Now we have first condition. Condition one. Condition one. If f1 is perpendicular, if f1 is perpendicular to f2, if f1 and f2 are perpendicular forces to each other, that is, your f1 is like this f1, your f2 is like this, they are perpendicular to each other. If the two forces are perpendicular, that means the angle between them, between these two forces, will simply be what? 90. That means theta will become 90 in this equation. If f1 is perpendicular to f2, that means angle becomes what? 90. Theta is always the angle between f1 and f2. Is the angle between f1 and f2. Okay, so that means what? We have what? What do we have? We have our r squared equals this square, please. F1 squared, F2 squared. So our r squared equals to f1 squared plus f2 squared plus 2f1 f2 cos 90 degrees. Cos 90 degrees. Cos 90 degrees. If f1 and f2 are perpendicular to each other, we have all these. Okay? So that will be what? R squared equals, what's f1? You have f1 squared plus f2 squared plus cos 90 is what? 0. Just press it. Cos 90 is 0. Just press it. Confirm it yourself. Cos 90 is 0. So this was 0. 0 times all this is 0. So you have just left. So our r becomes square root of f1 squared plus f2 squared. Now that's what it is. How do you find the direction of the resultant? Your resultant is still drawn like this. This is still your resultant. This is your resultant, R. How do you find direction of resultant? Your resultant R has this. What's direction? Angle it makes with F2 here, that's the alpha. Angle it makes with F2. Angle it makes with F2. You know that theta is 90 because, or what's it called? F1 and F2 are perpendicular to each other, so theta is 90. So how do you find the angle this makes with F2 or whatever, alpha? The angle in this case, you just have to put what? In the formula that I gave you before, just put what? Put your, what's it called? Your theta as 90. In the alpha I gave you, recall it for me, the arctan of what I gave you before. We have put theta there as 90. Put theta as 90, what will be your alpha? It becomes arctan of what? F1 all over F2. F1 all over F2. This is what you get. When you replace in that your alpha I gave you just now, put theta as what? As 90. You have arctan of F1 sin theta over what? F2 plus F1 cos theta. F1 cos theta will give you cos 90. That's 0. So that's what? F1 over F2. So in summary, direction, to get direction, put theta as 90 in this equation, and you get alpha as arctan of F1 all over F2. That's vertical over horizontal when you put theta as 90. Okay, good. Now, another condition, condition number 2. Let's go. Let's go this one. That's condition 1. That's condition 1. Let's see the condition number 2. Okay, let's see the condition number 2. Condition number 2. Number 2 condition is, what if, that's number 2, if F1 is equals to F2 and is called F. If F1 equals to F2 and we call it what? F. What will be a new resultant? What will be a new resultant? So we have to put what? That means our R squared equals F squared plus F squared plus 2FF cos theta, because they are now what? They are equal, but the angle between them is still what? Is still theta. That means they are not perpendicular. They are still like this. F1, this F1, F1 and what? F2. They are still like this. Angle is theta. But the forces F1 and F2 are now the same, and we call it what? F. Those forces. Now, if you see F1 anywhere, put F. If you see F2, put F. F1, F, F2, F, cos theta. So we now have what? R squared equals, that's what? 2F squared plus 2F squared, then cos theta. Don't forget our angle. Our angle alpha. Our alpha is what? If you can still remember, tan of, if I make a mistake here, just correct me. F1 sin theta, no? I think it's F1 what? Sin theta, sin theta over F2 plus F1 cos theta. If it's a mistake here, just correct me straight. I don't have it offhand, okay? If it's a mistake, correct it in your notes. It's right in your note there, correct it, okay? You don't expect to cram it. So that's what? This is the angle, direction of the resultant. Let's keep it that way. So we have what? F2F squared plus 2, this is what? F squared plus F squared is 2F squared. F times F is what? F squared, that's 2F squared cos theta. You cannot add this and this because of this. So what do we do? We say what? R squared equals, what's common there? 2F squared is common, into bracket 1 plus cos theta. 1 plus cos theta. Now, don't forget what theta is. Do not forget what theta is, okay? Now, if you use the half angle formula in our normal mathematics, half angle formula, if you can still remember, half angle formula, you will see that what? Cos theta is 2 cos squared theta over 2 minus 1. Cos theta is also 1 minus 2 sine squared theta over 2. If you can remember, cos theta is actually cos squared theta over 2 and sine squared theta over 2. You can still remember all these guys. If you can still remember all these guys, you can remember. So I'm going to use this to replace cos theta here. So So now I have what? R squared equals, if you don't know this thing, just Google it. Half angle formula. But you should know them. You have done trig. So you have what? 2f squared into 1 plus, what's cos theta? I'm going to use this guy. 2 cos square theta over 2 minus 1. That I'm replacing cos theta with all of this. So we have what? 1 cancels minus 1. What do you have there? R squared equals 2f squared times this. That is what? 2 times 2, 4. F squared is still there. Cos square theta over 2. So R will become what? Square root of 4f squared cos square theta over 2. And that means R will be what? R will be, what is square root of 4? 2. Root of 4 is 2. What's the root of f squared? Is f. What's the root of cos square theta? Is cos theta over 2. When you have cos square, so you can see now, if you have, what's it called? These are, everything here is products, so you can find the square root of each of them one by one. Root of 4, 2. Root of f square, f. Root of cos square is cos. That's theta over 2, theta over 2. Theta over 2 is what? This is an angle, like saying what? If theta is 45 degrees, that means in this place it becomes theta over 2. That means 45 over 2. What you use is this. That's 22.5. So we shall see all these examples. So if you now base on this, that means the angle between the resultant, our angle will be what? Our angle alpha will be what? Arctan of f sine theta over f plus f cos theta. Don't forget, if I make a mistake in this one, that means it will affect everything. So you just check this expression for me and be sure it is correct. Start applying it. Check for me. I cannot cram that in my head. It doesn't make any sense. You know that. So what do you have here? So alpha equals arctan of, you understand what I'm saying? I'm replacing this f1 sine, this f2 plus f1 cos. I proved this, I derived it. So check my derivation for me. Okay? So if f1 and f2 are the same, so f1 is f, f2 is f, that's f sine, f plus f cos. If you look at this very well, f is common already. You have what? F sine theta all over f bracket 1 plus cos theta. And you can see that what? F will cancel f. So what do we have left? We have alpha equals arctan of, I have to rub this and continue because it will be a bit longer. So as you can see, these are resultants. I want to get the direction of our resultant now. Direction of the resultants. Just look at the board. So let's say I want to start over again. Direction of resultants for second condition. Direction of what? Resultants for the second condition. That means that what? I've done it. I'm on the next condition that says what? F1 equals to F2, and I call them what? F. They are both equal, so I call them what? F. Yeah, let's recall. I want to repeat this again. Alpha is actually arctan of F1 sine theta, which I derived just now, over F2 plus F1 cos theta. That was what just derived now. Okay, but in this case, we are saying, what if in what I drew for you, F1 and F2 are equal? Let's continue now. So we now have what alpha equals arctan of F sine theta, like I said there, over F plus F cos theta. Let's continue. So you have what? Arctan, this F will cancel. You have sine theta all over 1 plus cos theta. And we will not stop also. We have to replace this cos. We have what? Arctan. What is sine theta? As much as cos is all this, sine theta is also 2 sine theta over 2 cos theta over 2. Just take note in trig. That means I'm giving you what? Cos theta is 2 cos square theta over 2 minus 1. Cos theta is also 1 minus this. It's also this. Sin theta similarly is also this. So what do you have here? We now have what? What is sin theta? Is what? 2 sine theta over 2 cos theta over 2. all over 1 plus, what's cos theta? We're using this. It's 2 cos squared theta over 2 minus 1. So this will cancel this, okay? So we are left with what? We are left with what? Arctan of what? That's what? We will be left with 2 cancel. Okay, let's just write it out. We will be left with what? 2 sine theta over 2 cos theta over 2 all over cos squared, 2 cos squared theta over 2. So 2 cancel this. This cancel one of these. You know that. All the left. You have arctan of what? Sine theta over 2 all over what? Cos theta over 2. So that means sine theta over 2 cos theta over 2 is what? Arctan what? This is what? Tan theta over 2. So alpha is now what? Who can tell me? What's arctan of tan theta over 2? What's arctan of tan theta over 2? You can see it's just interesting. If you press tan of this, then press arctan of it. What do you get? You get this thing back, theta over 2 back. If I ask you, for instance, if I say find arctan of tan 30, answer is 30 degrees also. Just press it now. Just press it. Let's see. See the word? Arctan bracket tan 30. You can see equals to, it's 30. Try to say it's 30. So arctan of tan this is theta over 2. So that means that what now? If the F1 and F2 are the same thing, just what? It's like this. It's like this. Look at the board. This is F1 and it's F. This is F2 and it's F. And this is theta between them. So where will be your resultant? It will be drawn like this. And it will be drawn from the middle exactly. Not closer to this, not closer to this, because they're the same thing. So it will be half, it will be exactly what? Theta over 2. Here is what? Theta over 2. Take note of that, because the forces are what? Are the same. Take note of that. So let's see. Let's see the third condition. What would that be? Okay, if F1 and F2, that's the third condition. Third condition. Number 3. Third condition. Third condition. Third condition, number 3. Number 3. If F1 and F2 are parallel. If F1 and F2 are parallel, what does that mean? If F1 is parallel to F2, if F1 and F2 are parallel, what does that mean? It means that what? It means that what? There will be no angle between them. Okay? That means this line and this line lie on each other. Or they're like this. They lie like this. They are parallel. They are parallel. That means there's no angle. So this means that what? It means that theta equals to 0. So you now have what? R squared equals F1 squared plus F2 squared plus 2F1 F2 cos 0 degrees. And that's what? R squared equals F1 squared plus F2 squared plus 2F1 F2, because cos 0 is 1. Cos 0 is 1. So this is the resultant if they are parallel to each other. And what will be the direction of that resultant? That's what? Your alpha, direction of resultant. Direction of resultant of your R. You see what? Alpha equals F1 sin theta all over F2 plus F1 cos theta. Check if there's a mistake in that. And that's what? F1 is still F1. They only say they are parallel, so nothing else. So sin 0, this is sin 0. Sin 0 over F2 is F2. This is F1 cos 0. So that's what you have. What's sin 0? Of course, it's 0. So it's 0. 0 over whatever. 0 over whatever. That's F2 plus F1. Answer is still 0. That confirms that what? Alpha is 0. Alpha is 0. There is, so that will also what? Lie like that. It will also lie like that. That means the direction of the resultant is also parallel. Take note of that. Because you've got alpha at 0, that means the direction of the resultant is also parallel to the direction of the forces. Once you get angle at 0, it means it's lying flat, it's horizontal. It doesn't mean not necessarily horizontal, but it's what they are parallel. So all these forces 1, 2, 3 are all parallel. It can be like, it can be unlike, I don't care. Okay? But you should know that if two parallel forces are in the same direction, your resultant is actually addition. If two parallel forces are in different directions, your resultant is actually what? Subtraction. Okay? So in summary, if F1 and F2 are parallel, you put theta at 0 inside here and you get this. And then the direction of R, your R will be what? Will be 0 as well. So let's see examples, 1 or 2 examples before we continue. Let's see 1 or 2 examples. Right, take this one down, this question. So just take these questions down. Right. The resultant of forces 70 Newton, excuse me. The resultant of forces 70 Newtons and 50 Newtons is 80 Newtons. The resultant of forces 70 Newtons and 80 Newtons is 80 Newtons. Full stop. The resultant of forces 70 Newtons and 50 Newtons is 80 Newtons. Full stop. Find right. A, the angle between the two adjacent forces. The angle between the two adjacent forces. That's the angle between the two forces. Okay. Then B, the angle between the resultant force. The angle between the resultant force and the force 70 Newtons. The angle between the resultant force and the force 70 Newtons. C, the angle between the resultant force and force 50 Newtons. Okay, so want to find, just look at it. You said the resultant of these two forces, let's say this one is, this is what? 70 Newtons. This is what? 50 Newtons. Okay. And the resultant is this. That's what? R equals 80 Newtons. Let's call here F1 and let's call here F2. So we can maintain our formulas. And the angle between them here is called theta. Direction of resultant is this alpha. Direction of our result is alpha. So let's see what we should do. So our formula says what? We will find the what? The angle between the adjacent forces. That's what the angle here. Between these two here. So that's what? We just go straight to what? Resultant R squared equals F1 squared plus F2 squared plus 2F1 F2 then cos theta. We go for this. So we have what? What's our R? It gave us 80. 80 squared equals, what's our F1? It gave us 70 squared, 50 squared, that's F2, plus 2 times 70 times 50, then cos angle theta. Angle between them is theta. You are fine. It's what you are looking for. What's 80 squared? That will be 6400. What's 70 squared? That will be 4900 plus 50 squared again. 2500 plus 70 times 50 is 35, that's 7,000 cos theta. Okay, if I'm not making mistakes. So we have what? 6400 equals 49 plus 25. That is what? 74, I think. 7400 plus 7,000 cos theta. Let me confirm my figures. So, another 80 square is correct. Another 70 square is correct. 50 square is correct. Okay, good. So let's see. 2 times 70 times 50. That gives us 7,000. So 49 plus 25. That gives us 74. So we have what? We have 6,000. We have 6,400 minus 7,400 equals 7,000 cos theta. So what do we have? So we have 64 minus 7400. Let me see this. 7,000. Okay, so we have what? This will be minus 1,000. Minus 1,000 equals 7,000 cos theta. So cos theta equals minus 1,000 all over 7,000. So theta will be what? Arc cos of minus 1,000 all over 7,000. As this you cancel. So arc cos of minus 1 over 7. So we have arc cos of minus 1. Okay, what's 1 over 7? 1 over 7 is what? 0.1428. So you have what? You have arc cos. Okay, arc cos. Answer. So let's consider that theta is 98 degrees here. Theta is 98 degrees. Okay, that's what theta is. So now if theta is 98, that means we can't draw this way. The angle is what is obtuse. Okay, the angle is obtuse. So let's go on. So how do we find our alpha? Our alpha is what? I wouldn't know it's obtuse. I wouldn't know I should make it bigger. So that means I should draw like this. You should draw like this. Okay, it will be drawn like this, but the angle is what? It's more than 98 degrees. But I wouldn't know that anyway. I will not know that. So let's how do we find our angle alpha? Angle the resultant makes with this axis. How do we find it? That will be what? That will be F1 sine theta all over F2 plus F1 cos theta. We know what theta is, so alpha will be what? So the F1 is what? What are F1? 70. So sine theta. Theta is what? 98. F2 is what? F1 is 70, so yes, F2 is what? 50. 50 plus F1 is what? 70, then cos 98. So just press that and I'll get alpha. So the arctan. Alpha is arctan of this. Arctan. You know what I'm talking about. So it becomes arctan. So this arctan. So let's get that other. 50 sine 98. 50 sine 98. Okay, so I'm getting here. I'm getting 49.51 all over. So what's that, guy? 70 cos 98 plus 50. I'm getting 40.2, 40.26. So alpha will be equals this over this. So we have 49.51 divided by 40.26. Okay. So we have arctan of that. So this is what? 50 points, or is it 51? 51 degrees. So to answer the question one by one now, to answer them one by one, so let's see. Based on what we have done, we found the angle, direction of resultant, we found the resultant. So let's see what the question asks us to do. Question 1 says we should find the angle between the adjacent forces. So question A, theta is 98 degrees. Question B, the angle between the resultant force and the force 70 newtons. The angle I got here is the angle this makes with 50. Angle alpha is the angle it makes with 50. Even when I withdraw, okay, when I withdraw it, this is my F2, that's 50. This is the resultant. This is my F1. This is the angle I just got now. That was the angle I just got. So 51. So we say what? For B question, if here is, see the board please. This whole angle is 98. We know that. This one is angle is makes with 50. And that's what we call alpha. And that alpha is 51. This is the angle it makes with what? F1. That will be 98 and 51. That's what? 40 what? 45, I mean? 47. Okay? That's 47. Good. So we have what? We have B question is what? Angle it makes with 70. This is the angle it makes, this is the 70 here. Angle it makes with 70 is 47 degrees. Then C says what? Angle it makes with what? With F2, that's 50 with 50. And that's what? 51. Because that was what I based everything I did on. I drew my resultant, and the angle I put here is angle to F2. This is my F2. I call the first here F2, my personal decision. When I was proving, I called the first here, I called it F2. It was my proof that gave me this formula. And in my proof, the angle the resultant made was made with the what? With the F2, with this place. So any angle I get with this formula is angle made with F2, made with this F2. This is my F2 here. This is my F2 here. So remove this from 98, you get what? Angle it makes with F1. And you may not have to follow this formula at all. You may not have to follow anything I have done before at all, except they ask you to prove. You will just use cosine rule and sine rule straight. Take this one and do it later for yourself. Right, assignment. Take this and do it. You may use sine rule and cosine rule and you still get the same answer, okay? Without stressing yourself through this formula. Right, assignment. If the magnitude of the resultant of two forces, of magnitudes P and 3P newtons, if the magnitude of the resultant of two forces of magnitude P and 3P, P and 3P newtons, acting at a point is P root 7 newtons. Full stop. Find the angle between the forces. Find the angle between the forces. Number two. The resultant of two forces, 5 newtons and 3 newtons. Just decide who you call F2, who you call F1, or ignore all these unless they ask you to prove. You can ignore them and use your cosine and sine and get away. It's the same thing. Right. The resultant of two forces, 5 newtons and 3 newtons, is 7 newtons. Is 7 newtons. Full stop. Full stop. The resultant of two forces, 5 newtons and 3 newtons, is 7 newtons. Full stop. Find the angle between the two forces. Find the angle between the two forces. Okay? Let's see this last one. Let's see this last one. Right. The angle between the forces, 30 newtons and 20 newtons. The angle between the forces 30 newtons and 20 newtons acting on a body of mass 10 kilograms. Acting on a body of mass 10 kilograms is 120 degrees. Is 120 degrees. Full stop. Find the acceleration of the body. Find the acceleration of the body. So we continue with this in the next class. So the next thing we are doing will be what? Resolution of several forces. This was just what? Was just two forces. These were only two forces. We're doing what? Resolution of several forces. Okay? So have a good afternoon. So we'll see you later. Bye.